The key to how you're going to approach opportunities, situations, or problems comes from how you've been programmed. Neuroscience is now saying that you don't have the choices you think you do. What they're saying is you will react to an opportunity, a situation, or a problem the same way as you did last year. You don't have choices because the algorithm takes over and says we're going this way. So have a look at this diagram. You're born here, and as you work through life, you pick things up through the mind and the body and through external stimuli. You've already brought some things with you. When you're born, you bring Uncle Harry's heart disease, you bring your father's obsessive compulsive disorder, and so on. That's how this works. Some of it is handed down by our ancestors. So we get this combination of what you've got and then what you pick up, especially in the early years, and especially what you're told by people in authority. Guess who? Now, from where I come from, we're all basically fucked up. It's only a matter of by how much and by who. But what happens is in the early days, we set up strategies to survive. We set up strategies to be attractive and for people to love us. And as we go through life, we don't drop those. We start applying the same neediness, the same attention seeking. We play small, the same as we did when we were younger. I call it sets up your algorithm. So your algorithm becomes how you look at, and you'll see here, opportunities, situations, and problems. So as a manager, as a leader, the question becomes, who taught you about money? Who taught you about opportunity? Who taught you about being entrepreneurial? Is that the family you were raised in? Or were you raised in a family that says you don't want to start a business? It's just problems, it's just hassle. Were you brought up in a family that said you don't want to take risk? You don't want to grow too big? People who grow too big end up going broke. All this stuff is taught to you in your early years, in your formative years, and it goes in. It actually goes in and creates what I call sleepers. Some people call them triggers. What's a trigger? You know, I was in New Zealand a while ago and I hired a car and I couldn't change the radio station because I was already driving. And there was a talkback show, which I normally cannot stand. But these two radio announcers said, call us and tell us the biggest lie your grandmother told you. And I thought, this might be interesting. First person calls and says, I'm 62 years old. My beautiful grandmother, who I loved and adored, I must have been 8 years old. She saw me eating an apple and I was about to bite the core. And she said, you know, if you eat the core of that apple, does anybody know this? A tree will grow inside your stomach. He said, I'm 62 years old. Now I cannot do more than nibble around the outside of an apple. And when I get any side of a core at all, I throw it away. After 62 years, it's insane. See, this is people in authority. People in authority who teach us things. Your first boss, your mum, your dad, siblings, uncles, aunts, your best friend. These people, when they say things in authority, it goes in. Second person rings in and says, yeah, my beautiful girl, I just loved her so much. And when she looked me in the eye, I was sitting beside the fire. And she said, does anyone know this one? If you sit too close to the fire, your kidneys will melt. She said, I've tried to do hot yoga. I can't last in the room for more than 3 minutes. I can't do saunas. I don't like sunbathing. She said, anytime I feel my body is getting hot, it triggers me. The sleeper comes out. I've got to move now. What happens is all these things are stored not in the mind, but they're stored in the body. They're stored in the body as feelings. So if I gave you a dozen oysters today and it turned out they were bad and you ended up in hospital with food poisoning, in a month's time, if I bring a dozen oysters out, you won't think it. You will feel it in your body. You will literally heave when you look at those oysters. Things are stored in the body. Stored in the body that you saw your dad go broke. You watched as the family went bankrupt. If somebody says, do you want to buy my rent roll? That's how you're going to approach that opportunity. So you will look at a situation which is things are getting tough. The market has dropped. How do you look at that situation? You either panic because you've been taught to watch for the signs and don't take risks. How have you been programmed? What is your algorithm when you look at a situation? Or do you look at it and say, this is the time when the best shine? This is the time when it's easier to list property because there's more on the market. So we're going to sell more because we know how to reprice. How do you look at that? Who taught you about facing different types of situations? I love, there's a book that I've handed out to hundreds of managers, and it's called The Diamond Cutter. And this is the first person to go through the Buddhist university, first Westerner to go through the Buddhist university. And it took him 23 years. He learned 5 languages, ended up actually translating Buddha's writing on business. And he went right through the university, and then they sent him off into business. And it just so happened, they said, we've had a premonition that you should go into diamonds. And he went to New York, true story. He had $50,000, and he set up a business, and he used Buddhist principles of compassion and love and meditation and circle days. I talk about all this on strategic learning. And he sold it to Warren Buffett 10 years later for $300 million. One of the things that happened, it was in the days when you were making orders over the phone. He was in New York and he rang, I think it was India or somewhere, and he ordered what he thought was 300, what they call yellow diamonds. Box arrives a month later and there's 3,000. And he rings them and says, "You've given me 3,000 diamonds." And they said, yeah, that's what you ordered. And he said, well, the phone was a bit crackly, but I only ordered 300. They said, we're not taking them back now because we don't know what you're doing with them. We're not going through every single diamond and making sure it's all right. You're stuck with them. So you know what he did? He meditated and he used a Buddha-style process. And he said in his meditation, I bought 3,000 yellow diamonds. I just have to remember what my strategy was when I bought them to make a lot of money. And after an hour, he came up with putting them together in clusters, in rings. And he said he put them together in rings and called it a carat of golden diamonds or a carat of yellow diamonds. They sold like crazy. They made an awful lot of money. How do we approach opportunities, situations, or problems? Who taught you about that? Were you taught to do that in a optimistic way, or were you taught to do it in a pessimistic way? You will relate to management and leadership based on the algorithm that is running inside you. Now, this begs the question, well, if it's running, you see, neuroscience is now saying that you don't have the choices you think you do. What they're saying is, and they're now putting things on people's heads and measuring this, what they're saying is you will react to an opportunity, a situation, or a problem the same way as you did last year, the year before, and the year before. You don't have choices because the algorithm takes over and says we're going this way. So if you don't have the choices now, what is the key to getting choices? And I've got to tell you that the older I get and the more coaching that I do, there's a word that I have used, and I started using it lately because I don't think I actually understood it originally 40 years ago. But that word is awareness. If you have awareness is being able to step outside your business and look back in and say, we're going the wrong way. Be able to step outside and say, we need more salespeople. We need to recruit. We need to convert more. We're not in that area. We need to go into that area. I'm not leading correctly. I need to upskill in this, and this. Outside, look back in. That's awareness. Most people don't have it. How does that apply to apples and fires? What happens is if I have awareness that somebody taught me the reason I can't eat a whole apple, can't eat the core, which of course is sometimes some people think is the best part. If I'm aware that I was taught something, and if I use the question, is it real? What I'm working on, how I'm reacting, is it real? The answer is no. Then what I can do is I can override my normal way of reacting. So I can get to the core, and if I have awareness, I can step back out and say, I'm at the core. I can hear my grandmother talking to me saying, a tree's going to grow. Is that real? No, it's not. Then I can push the red button and go, override. And then I can eat the whole apple. If I'm sitting in hot yoga and it's getting oppressive and my mind is starting to wander and I'm thinking about my grandmother saying your kidneys are going to melt, I can push the button and go, hold on. Awareness. Is that real? No, it's not. Push the override button and go in a different direction. Take a breath and stay a bit longer. This is one of the biggest keys to freedom that I know of. You can open the way that you manage if you understand this process. Now, this is what we teach in strategic leadership. This is also what we teach in a program called Coach the Coach, which is made up of two parts. One is coaching methodology, where I teach you how to use this to coach others. You see, from awareness comes the opportunity that we can teach others. I'm only teaching you this because I've learned it. If it doesn't resonate with you, let it go. It's not here for you. But if it does, then I'm teaching you what I've learned. And you can, by understanding this, start overriding, making different choices yourself. Then you are of huge use to others. You can help them make different decisions, make different choices. The other part of that program is a retreat, a 5-day retreat that we run up here in the beautiful hinterland from Byron Bay, where we deepen your practice of awareness, of mindfulness. You know, my saying is better life, better business. Better life first, and it flows right through your business, and everything just grows. I just want to make this point about awareness and about making change. You know, New Year's resolutions, within a month, I believe it's something like 80% of people say that their New Year's resolution has dropped away. It's gone. And I get it. Something like 70% of people say that the reason that they can't do their New Year's resolution is because of willpower. You don't do this through willpower. You don't make change in your life towards being able to make more choices, towards more joy, towards broadening your emotional bandwidth. You don't do that through willpower. That's bullshit. And the 60s and 70s, you know, the whole movement was you can do anything you want, and if you do something 22 times, it becomes a habit. Yeah, until it's not. It's, in my opinion, that's not the place to look. The place to look is at awareness, mindfulness, how you're programmed, and change the damn program. You go in and become aware of the program. Quite often that's all you need to do to make serious fundamental change. You know, everybody says I need accountability. You don't need accountability. Not when it's right. Not when everything is in flow. Not when you have the awareness to be able to step outside and say, am I going the right way? No. Which is the way that I want to go? Reach inside. Say, I want to go this way. This is the way I would like to go. Feels right. Feels right. Not thinks right, feels right. And then we push on. Now let me give you an analogy for this. You got a teenage son or daughter. They're 15 years old. They hardly talk to you. They're in that lovely belligerent phase, you know, where if you said to them, let's get up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, go for a walk on the beach, and we can talk about the meaning of life. If you said to them, let's get up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, go for a walk on the beach and talk about the meaning of life, when you get to their door at 5 o'clock, you'll find that it's locked. You ain't getting in their door, and they ain't walking on any stupid beach talking to their parent about the meaning of life. However, if you said, tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock, we're getting up, we're going on my friend's super yacht, and he's got jet skis on the back of it. We're going to jet ski, and we're going to fish, and we're going to stay the night on his yacht. You won't have to wake them up. They will be up at 4:45 banging on your door. Let's go fishing. When it's right, when it fits for you, when it's something you want to do, why don't we just find the things that we want to do and let emotional intelligence take over? And it will drive you all you need to be driven. Let's just find what you want to do, the way you want to go with this, what feels right. And we have systems for that. We have processes to help you with that in coaching. Then emotional intelligence is what I call it. It's not accountability, and it's not willpower. It's emotional intelligence kicks over and says, this is the direction I want to go to. You won't have to be prodded. You won't have to be kept accountable for that. It will just happen beautifully with a smile on your face. Everyone loves the direction you're going because it's organic with you, and they will just come with you. I want to just talk about somebody that I love listening to is a guy called Robert Bly, and he talks about how we're born with an empty bag over our shoulder. Yeah, pristine, open, everything's ready to go, and we're open to everything. As we go through life, especially in the formative years, when something happens, when we're told something by somebody in authority, it goes in the bag. We go to kick a ball and we fall on our ass, and an uncle who we love and adore says, "Ha, see, you're not the soccer player, your sister's the soccer player, not you, pal." It goes in the bag. We bring home our first maths report card and it's got a D on it. And somebody in authority says, "See, you're not the mathematician, your brother is the mathematician." Goes in the bag. And this stuff goes in the bag until the bag just gets bigger and bigger. When it's big enough, it starts to weigh us down and we start to bend, we start to shrink. And Robert Bly says those of us, the brave of us, are those who take the bag off our shoulder, open it up, and start taking this stuff out. We take out the fact that I haven't really tried sports that much, even though I'm 21 years old. I haven't played a lot of sports because of something that somebody else said. I take that out and I say, is this real? I also say, is it appropriate that I'm living my life according to somebody else's algorithm? Because that's what you're doing. So we take it out and it's gone. We take the next one out and we say, I've never really applied myself at maths. I look at P&Ls and I look at numbers and I just have a blind spot. I wonder why. Because somebody in authority told you weren't a mathematician, you can't do this stuff. So we take it out, we look at it and we say, is this real? We say, no, I'm smart as. I got an A+ in maths. I can do this stuff. So it's gone. So we can spend a lifetime. Like I said, it doesn't have to be lying around crying or wailing or anything, but we spend a lifetime. This is part of the fun of this chance we've been given, this beautiful life, is to be able to go back and say, is this real? No, gone. And let me tell you, you get lighter and lighter and lighter, and life becomes more and more joyful. That's how this can work. So one of the things we do in coaching, and I invite you to do, you can do it without us, but otherwise you can use strategic leadership or coaching program, is to get your values done. And understand that your values are what is most important to you now. So this becomes a gateway to making sure you're not acting against your values. It's really important. If you are in alignment with your values, then everybody around you picks up on it and you are a way better leader, way better manager. So we have a system for doing your values. We have an expert, a resident expert on our panel on values, on bringing values into your own life and into your business. And where it's appropriate, we set you up with that person. And he's done a lot of work with a lot of my clients around making sure your values are in alignment. Let me give you an example. A young client of mine said that he wanted to open an office a long way from his current office. And so I said, well, I want you to do your values first and let's see if it's in alignment with your values. He said, yeah, I'll do my values. So he did his values. And then we compared his values and we asked what opening this new office looked like in accordance with his values. And every single one of his top 5 values, I can't remember what they are, but every single one of his top 5 values flew in the face of him being away from his family, opening another office, getting torn between 2 offices and so on. So he said, this is too big an opportunity. I want to open this office. We said, okay. Away he went, opened the office. Within 9 months, it was closed. It was too far away. He was away from his family. He couldn't trust the people that he was in business with, and so on and so on. So values are a really incredible way of becoming aware of what is important to you and that you are managing in alignment with those. We had one person come to strategic leadership. If you come to strategic leadership or coaching methodology, you will do your values. And this one person came to strategic leadership, highly successful manager, did his values, and his number one value was faith. It was religion. And what we said to him was, how do you show religion in your office? He said, no. I keep them separate. I keep my religion out of my business. Can you imagine the energy drain, the effort you have to make to keep your number one value away from your business? That's insanity. So basically, we implored him to bring out religion into his business. He went back in, he told them all, he said, we're going to start with prayer. Some people left, other people joined, and he took off. That's the power of values that it can have. The waste of energy if you're not in alignment with your values is just too much to bear. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to caliper you. Caliper is a psychological profile we use when recruiting, but we're also going to use it on you. It's going to tell you a whole raft of things that you may not even know about yourself. We will understand whether how organized you are. We'll understand your assertiveness, your ego strength. 22 traits it measures. We're going to do that as part of making sure you're in alignment with your business. No energy drain, and the whole thing just becomes fun. So we're going to get your caliper done. We're going to do a thing with you called the Enneagram. Enneagram. Riley will put it up on the screen now. Enneagram is 9 personality types. This is not psychobabble. This is hundreds and hundreds of years old. It is incredible in terms of awareness. You will be one of those 9 personality types. It's fun to play. It will teach you your biggest fears, your biggest strengths, your core, the core thing that gives you overwhelm or anxiety. It's an extraordinary system of organizing the human condition to give you some idea of where you're operating and therefore how you can become aware and do it in a healthy way. So we're going to look at Enneagram. For a lot of my clients, if you haven't had a health check for a long time, I want you to go and have a health check. But you're going to go to an acnem doctor, ACNEM. An acnem doctor is a normal GP, but they use homeopathic things first. They do a lot more tests. To give you an idea, your first appointment will be an hour long. And I want to just know that your blood pressure, your heart, all of these things are fine as you start to make this change. They can go right down to take a hair follicle from your head, and then it'll come back and tell you that you've got too much zinc, or you're lacking in this, that, the other. It's a fabulous thing to do, and we're going to do that. Then you come to strategic leadership and spend the 4 days throughout a year. And at the same time, for a lot of people this year, 2026, a lot of people are going to be doing coaching methodology at the same time. Overall, all of this, living in this, talking about this, being in this space with like-minded people, this is how to make meaningful change.